Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. 11th mantra. Vidyancha vidyancha yastad Vedo bhayam saha. Vidyamcha vidyamcha yastad Vedo bhayagum saha. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva Vidyaya mritamashnute. So, he who knows at the same time both Vidya and Avidya overcomes death by Avidya and obtains immortality by Vidya. In explaining the great theory of action in inaction, the rishis have given this pregnant mantra to their Arya or Aryan generation. In the first mantra of this section, they condemned both Vidya and Avidya as guiding us only to a dark age when an individual or a generation pursues each one of these pair exclusive of the other. Thereafter, quoting the greater rishis of the earlier periods, the seer of the Íśopanișad is now summarizing how they are to be pursued in a happy synthesis. When they are not to be undertaken individually, the next possibility that would suggest itself to any student would be that both Vidya and Avidya are to be pursued in a synthesis. So synthesis means samuchaya, enjoining the both. What? Enjoining or synthesis of karma means material activity and jnana, spiritual knowledge, has been very often advocated by modern teachers of samuchayavad, modern teachers of synthesis. But the exact technique of it has not been made fully clear. Here, in the Upanishad, it has been explained beyond all doubt, and the expressions are as perfect and complete as a scientific statement. It is said that he who combines in himself both Vidya and Avidya together would overcome death by Avidya, means by karma, and obtain immortality by Vidya, meditation, knowledge, etc. Here, Acharya Bhagavatpad Adi Shankaracharya ji has to quarrel with Bhaskaracharya ji. Since he is one of the believers of Samuchayavad, he used to believe that Vidya and Avidya are of equal importance as practices for a seeker, and each works independently of the other, with neither of them subordinate to the other. This is not necessary. We need not consider both Vidya and Avidya as independent of each other, with neither of them subordinate to the other. It is sufficient if we consider them as an integral whole with a mutual relationship as Anga and Angi. Anga means parts. Angi means who has the parts. Like branches of the tree is the Anga, and the whole stem is the Angi. They must be considered as serially connected. Selfless, dedicated work. Selfless, dedicated work. Please pay attention over here. This is here avidya. Nishkama karma or karma yoga has mentioned here as avidya. Not our daily activities, going to the market, cooking, chatting, chit-chat with some other else is not considered as avidya. Or going to job for earning money, going to movie theater, not that. Selfless, dedicated, surrendered work is called Karma Yoga, and that Karma Yoga has been referred over here by Upanishad as avidya. And that avidya prepares one for contemplation. Chitta Shuddhaye Karma. What avidya is, which purifies our mind and prepares for contemplation. And through contemplation, Vidya or knowledge is fulfilled in direct apprehension of the self. Thereafter, the perfect one undertakes karma as a sacred, satisfying fulfillment of his realization and spiritual experience. When such great souls like Bhagavan Buddha, Bhagavan Christ, Swami Vivekananda, Srimad Swami Chinmayanandaji, and others work, the joy of life, the beauty of existence, the very values of life in the society are revitalized and reorientated. Thus, cultural revival takes place. These are the days of feverish activity, social, communal, national, and international. Many are the blind advocates of activity. कर्म 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 सेवा की सिवा मुक्ति नहीं हो सकता है, हमारा सेवा ही परमम धर्म। बहुत लोगों का ये कहना है कि धर्म का मूल अर्थ है सेवा। दूसरों का सेवा करो, गरीब को सेवा करो, ब्राह्मण को सेवा करो, भगवान को सेवा करो, गौ माता को सेवा करो। It is a feverish activity. Every other man is a leader, and he who is not a leader now is but a budding leader waiting for his chance to blush out, at least in his own concept of himself. But in spite of all these leaders and their leading, the world as such is gasping forward from confusion to despair, and steadily and systematically tottering from despair to disaster. These are the days when even the educated have started wondering why it is also. Why it is also. The diagnosis and the cure are contained in the secret depths of this very pregnant 11th mantra of this Upanishad. Without vidya, without knowledge, proper knowledge, without self-knowledge, to act in the outer world of avidya is almost impossible. You know, jackfruit, very sweet jackfruit. But if you want to break, before that you have to put oil on your palm. Otherwise, the glue is so thick, it sticks into the palm, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. So before breaking a jackfruit, everyone, the expert one, they apply oil on their palm. Likewise, if before starting any activities, maybe it is nishkam karma, selfless dedicated work, maybe, before that also, if you don't acquire self-knowledge, if you don't gain self-knowledge, karma yoga will be transformed into karma bhoga immediately. And that happened. Karma yoga performance or performing, it means it will subdue our ego. It will negate our mind. But many of the time, you will find who are advertised as a great karma yogi nowadays. They are busy to tell, I have done all those things, and Swamiji, I have no selfish motive for that. The bridge you have seen, I have inaugurated. These things I have, it's spring out. It helps to spring out the bud, ankur, sprout. So the thing is, without knowledge, without vidya, if anyone performs any work, considering it is selfless, dedicated work, it is certainly unprofitable. Without knowing the rhythm and harmony of the entire cosmos, which unites together the plurality to act in the world of multiplicity, would be only to bring about more and more confusion into the world. There is a pole. If you hold it in one hand, and if you go round and round and round and round, you can enjoy your play. That is knowledge. If you leave the pole, you know what can be happen. That happens when we indulge ourselves into the work without proper knowledge, self-knowledge. Here knowledge means atma-jnanam, yatha yatha atma-jnanam. So leaders and workers are striving to bring about unity, harmony, peace, and joy in the world, while they themselves have not realized any of this in themselves. In our childhood, leave about your childhood. My childhood means much later part. There also no television, only one channel, Doordarshan, DD1. Only radio and newspaper. After 3 days, the news used to come, what happened internationally. On that time, there was so compassion, love for each other. In rainy season, if in the midway, if it used to get raining, we used to stand under any shade. And I faced these things. Householders used to call us, why are you in outside? Please come and sit inside. If it is heavy rain for a long time, really believe me, I did not those people. Used to bring tea, not in this saffron, in a short pant. Now everyone is, living in a complex housing. Security guard is there. They will not allow. If it is an individual house, householder will see. If there is a small place also, they will say, why are you standing over here? It's raining, sir. Let it be. You find another place. Degeneration of values. But we are having hundreds of channels where spiritual values, social values are preached nowadays. But actual values are degenerating. Why? Because who are preaching, they don't practice the same what they preach. And that's why they have no realization with it. धर्म तो अनुभव की विषय है, अनुभूति का विषय। अगर अनुभूति नहीं है, अनुभव नहीं है, there will be only bookish knowledge. They go through Gita, but Gita doesn't go through them. So the thing is, they themselves have not realized any one of these truths in themselves. With an ill-adjusted instrument of disharmony and discord, no musician, however great and willing he may be, can strike even a single note of perfect beauty or mastery. The mantra, the 11th mantra says that certainly the experienced knowledge of the self or Atma Jnanam would give us eternal liberation and immortal existence. For thereby we shall discover that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect equipment to which belongs the irrepeatable change called death. What I'm going to utter, please remember it. Mortality is the tragic fate of matter. Mortality is the tragic fate of matter. Immortality is the destiny of the spirit. But having gained Vidya in this very life, there is a period when we are to live in this world as a liberated soul, Jivan Mukta, or a prophet or a God man. And you know, his duty thereafter is not to run away incognito into some secret cave of contemplation to enjoy the serene joys of his own realization. When Swami Vivekananda was Narendranath, then his guru Sri Ramakrishna asked him, "What you want?" Told that I want to be in ecstasy for a long days, for long months, for long years, like Shukdeva. His guru immediately condemned him and his ideology, and he started spitting. What a selfish thought, you perceive. I thought you will be like a big banyan tree, where each and everyone will take shelter. And you are thinking only of your own peace of mind. Do you want to get rid of the practical reality, the real snarls of the society? What is your contribution to the society? Everyone wants to be a customer. Very less people want to be a contributor into that society. They forget, without the contribution of the whole society, I could not come up. You know, in Teacher's Day, there was a nice message. Just only one word was there, phrase, Happy Teacher's Day. And in a small letter there was written, if you can read this, be obliged to your teacher. We don't know that we are the sum total of the contribution of a lot of people. Not only the contribution of our own families or parents. We are the product of the contribution of the society. On the other hand, he has to fulfill his self-realization in and through his activities in the world outside. Not only enjoying the serene joys of his own realization. Earlier we have seen in Mantra 6 and 7. Can you remember the Mantra 6 and 7? Mantra 6 was Yastu sarvani bhutani bhutanya bhutani atmanyevan pashyati. Just a minute. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani eva anupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato navijugupsate. Means he who constantly sees everywhere all existence in the self and the self in all beings and forms, thereafter there is no hatred from him to anyone. And what the 7th mantra says, Yasmin sarvani bhutani Atma eva abhud vijanataha tatra kaha mohaha kaha shokaha ekatvam anupashyataha. When to the knower all beings have become one in his own self or Atma, how shall he feel deluded thereafter? What grief can there be to him who sees oneness everywhere? So, you know, that self-realization is not only in the experience that one's own self is divine, but this realization can be complete only when one realizes that his own self is the self in all, unless we include and incorporate in our self-experience. The pluralistic world of imperfection also, the realization cannot be called complete. Or rooted in the knowledge of our own self, the self-realized sage or seer becomes the most potent factor in the world to crave out for himself a destiny of unquestionable brilliance and success. An individual who has thus worked in the world in organizing humanity and in rehabilitating his generation in the greater values of life comes to live eternally in the memory of the world, carved out upon the memory of a grateful generation. These men of wisdom who work in the field of humanity remain, as it were, eternally on the surface of the globe. We have thus Buddha, we have Christ, we have Hazrat Muhammad, we have Shankaracharya-ji, we have Muhammad, we have Zoroaster, we have Swami Vivekananda, we have Swami Chinmayananda as examples of mortals who have given no easy walkover to death, the consumer of everyone. These great masters, having worked for the upliftment of society, have entered so much into the warp and woof of the social fabric of the generations that are to follow them, that posterity could not willingly let their memories die. Apart from this historical immortality of living in the memories of the grateful generations that follow the masters, these great men of realization overcome death that is caused by ignorance, avidya, because of their own knowledge, experience, or vidya. Death has a poignancy and is a threat only in terms of the fear we have for it. If one's great soul has realized its own real nature, it has thereafter no fear or dread for this phenomenon of change happening in the province of matter, which is generally called death. Death can frighten only him or her who misunderstands himself or herself to be the body. To him or her who has realized that he is that Atma, death is only one of the meaningless, delusory changes in his body zone with which he maintained a sense of possessiveness during his days of ignorance. And he obtains immortality by vidya. Mortality is, we have already seen what mortality is. The fate of matter and not the destiny of the spirit. Suppose a pot, a glass, a cup, a tumbler, anything else may break and destroy the pot space. But the space in the pot is neither broken nor ever made. It is the all-pervading space. In the space we divide, this is my house, you know. In this house, this is my room. This is my son's room. This is my husband's room. All those things, you know, we divide the space. Space is not divided. It's only our ignorance that we try to divide the space. Similarly, birth and death, decay and disease, bondage and liberation, sorrow and joy, success and failure, and so on, all pair of opposite, all experiences available only to the ego center, and by themselves are but delusion created appearances. This is realized when the pure awareness comes to flash out, as it were, through the matter envelopments. The ego ends where Godhood experience starts. The mortal minus his ego is the immortal truth. Again, I am telling, the mortal minus his ego is the immortal truth. As such, when a seeker, after surrendering his entire ego concept, in other words, when he, through meditation, transcends all his identifications with his body, mind, and intellect, he comes to rediscover himself to be the pure Atma. To him, thereafter, there can be no rebirth, nor the chain of effects of karma to bind him down to the wheels of samsara. What is that pure Atma? In mantra number 5, we got it. Can you remember? We are just mantra number 5. Tade jati tanne jati. No, mantra number 4. Mantra number 4 first. First mantra number 4. Anejadikam manasa javiyaha naina deva apnuvan purvamarsat tadhavatonnyan atyeti tishthat tasminnapo matarishva dadhati. What is the pure self? Atma is the motionless one, swifter than the mind. The senses or the devatas could not overtake it. It ran before them. Sitting, it goes faster than those who run after it. By it, Matarishva or the elemental air supports the activity of all living beings. If you've forgotten the explanation, please go to the YouTube channel and listen for the mantra number 4. Then mantra number 5, it also says about pure Atma, pure self. What? Tade jati tanne jati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha. The Atma, the pure Atma, moves and it does not move. It is far and it is the nearest. It is within all this, and this Atma is also outside all this. And mantra number 8, what says? Saparyagat shukram akayam avranam asna viragam shuddham apapa vidham kavir manishi paribhuhu swayam bhuhu yatha tathyato. arthan vyadadhat shashvatibhya samapya. The Atma is all pervading, bright, bodiless, sketchless, without muscles, pure, unpierced by evils. It is wise. Atma is omniscient, transcendent, and self-existing. Atma alone allotted respective functions or duties to the various eternal creators. Whoever understands these Atma and whoever knows that that Atma is I alone, to him thereafter there can be no rebirth, nor the chain of effects of karma to bind him down to the wheels of samsara. Naturally, he gains, in the language of our experience of mortality, the state of immortality. Hari Om Tat Sat.